Hello everyone, this is Ankit Jain. I welcome you all to my channel Tech Journey with Ankit. Today is day 35 of our LWC Bootcamp. In today's session, we will explore how we can create the record, update the record as well as delete the record by using the Lightning Web Component. In the yesterday's session, we already covered one section where we discussed how to create the record. In today's session, we will see how we can modify the same component to perform the update operation as well as the delete operation. Moreover, if the time permits us, we will also explore how we can do some custom validations in our components as well. Okay, so before we get started, a quick intro about me. My name is Ankit Jain. I do have more than 10 years of experience in the Salesforce ecosystem, where I got an opportunity to work on the different clouds of the Salesforce, including the Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, as well as on the CPQ billing and the Financial Services Cloud. Moreover, I do have my technical expertise on the LWC as well as on the integration. In case you folks likes to connect with me, these are the different channels which are available. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Telegram, as well as on the YouTube channel as well. You will get the links of all these different channels in the video description. So in the yesterday's session, what we have done is we have created the record and we have also developed this component, right? With the help of which we have created the record. For example, if I go and select here in the yesterday's session, we have populated this combo box based on the data that we are getting from the Apex, right? We have also used few out of the box component, like we have used the radio button group, we have used the slider, we have used the rich text area as well, right? Now, the next thing in the yesterday session, I asked you folks to complete one assignment where what we're supposed to do here is as soon as the record is created, I want the user should navigate to the new record, right? Whatever the record that we are creating, the user should go and navigate to the new record, right? For example, let's say here, if I go and create this record, let's say here I am putting the test account, here I am setting the expiration date, setting this SLA type and putting that uh, description as the test account and clicking on save. Definitely we are creating the account. That's what we have evaluated from the console window in the yesterday's session, right? You can see account created successfully. But let's say the ask from the business is as soon as the account is created, we should navigate to the account here. So we do have the new account available. Let me also open that new account in the separate tab. You can see that this is the account that we have created, test account. Now only thing that we have to do here is we have to navigate to that account. Multiple times we worked on the navigation. Again, I am repeating one more time because this is very common requirement that we do in every project. So again, I am opening the component that we have built yesterday, that is the account details component. So whenever we have to perform the navigation, there are particular steps that we have to populate. Again, as I said, you don't have to remember the syntax, you just have to use the component library, right? So again, I'm navigating back to the component library here, and first thing what we supposed to do here is we have to look for the navigation in the component library, because that's where we get all the syntax. So let me search for the navigation here, right? If I scroll down, the first thing that we have to do here is we have to import the navigation mixin in our component. So let me go and perform that import. The next thing that we have to do here is we have to change the extension part of the component, and we have to make sure that we are extending the component with the navigation mixin. So that's what I am changing as a part of second step. Like by mistake there are two extends, so let me remove one, right? So this is the second step that we have done. Now the third step that we have to do here is as soon as the record is created, we have to navigate to that record. And to navigate to that record, what we have to do first we have to go and create the page reference. So let me go and create the page reference. Again, if you scroll down here, again they have given an example how you can navigate to a particular user record. So again, I am using the same page reference from here. I'm just copying this code, or let's go to the page reference type, because that is the more correct way to do it. Again, here I can directly show you for the view, but it's better you should understand how we do it for the every scenario, right? So as we have to navigate to the page, we have multiple times I have explained this page to you. So you have to take the option of record page type, because we have to navigate to the specific page type. Copy the complete reference from here, a page reference, and put it here. So this is the page reference. on which I have to navigate. Only thing that we have to populate here is the object API name. We already have the object API name available in the form of account object. So that's what I am using here. That is the account object dot object API name, right? And the record ID, we always get the record ID whenever the record is created. If you folks recall, yesterday we have checked that console log as well. You can see that as soon as the record is created in our code, we have printed the result that we are getting, right? In the result, we do have this ID, right? So what we have to do here is we have to use this ID to navigate to the record. So here I am passing that ID directly. Let me do this here. Result dot ID. Let me do this here as result.id, right? So I do have my page reference ready. Now the next thing that I have to do here is I have to use the navigation method to perform that navigation. So again, I'm copying that code from here and putting it here. I'm just using the navigate method to perform the navigation. So this is where my page reference is created, and to this, sorry, generate URL is not the correct method, navigate is the correct method. So we have to make sure that we are using this navigate method, and in that method we have to pass the page reference. So here I am passing the page reference. So this is how we can perform the navigation of the newly created record, right? Let's go and validate this. So here I go and quick deploy this. Again, I will go to the org and refresh my page to validate whether after the creation of the record, my record is successfully navigating to the new record or not. Again, I am selecting the account, putting the test account 1, SLA expiration date. Let me set some date here, silver, number of locations, and put it here the description. Let's say test description, and clicking on save. You can see that as soon as the record is created, I am automatically navigated to the new record. I am automatically navigated to the new record. Okay, so this is how we can perform the create record functionality, and we have added the navigation to that functionality as well. Coming towards the next part on the update, right? Yesterday again we discussed, let me repeat one more time. Update, again, whenever you have to perform the update record operation, you have to pass the record input. Your record input will have the object is nothing but the fields, right? And in the fields you have to populate all the different fields that you want to update. But there is one key field that you have to always populate whenever you are performing the update operation, and that field is the record ID, and that field is the record ID. Okay, so this is how we can perform the update record operation without writing the Apex class. So again, let me try to implement the similar functionality here. Now what I want to do here is the component that we have created, I want to use the same component to update the record as well. Again, to do that, the first thing that I am doing here is I am exposing my component to the record page. So here I go and expose my component to the record page, right? So that my component will be available to get that added on the record page. First we go and add this component and check what all different changes that we're supposed to do before we go and make this component available for the business. I'm just deploying the plain vanilla component that we have created yesterday without adding any changes for the update part. Definitely there will be few changes that we have to do, but let's try to highlight this before we go and implement it. So this is the component that we have created yesterday, account details. I'm dragging and dropping that component here. Let me go and click on save and go back. Right? Okay, now you can see here in the details part, I do have all these details available. Right, I do have this parent account, I do have the SLA, I do have the SLA expiration date, I do have the number of locations. All these details are available, but again, when the component is loading on the page, these details are not populating. So let's say my business want that whenever they want to use the same component to update the record, all these details, it should be auto populated. First requirement. Second requirement, here you can see that this text is a hard coded text as the create account. Right, again we have to use this component to perform the update operation. So we have to make sure that this text should also populate dynamically. What you have to make sure is this text should also populate dynamically. So there are different requirements that we have to work on. Let's try to implement this one after the other. So the first thing that I will do here is, let me go to my code again. I have to go and get the record value, right, in my form, whatever the values which are available on the record. How we can do that? Anyone like to highlight how we can get the values of the record? Which method we supposed to use to get the values of the record? Let me know in the comment section or in the chat section which method or which value we have to use to get that record. So the first thing that I am doing here is I am getting the record ID of the component, right? And for that we have to use @API decorator. We have done again learned this multiple times, how to dynamically access the record ID. Now I do have the record ID. I do have the fields that I supposed to load. I can directly use the get record method to get the complete details of that record. So again, this time I am using another wire decorator, and that wire decorator is the get record. Again, we have learned this get record method in detail very separately as well. I am just using the same analogy that we have learned in the previous session. Again, whenever we have to use the get record always take two parameter. First is the record ID, and second one is the fields that we supposed to load. So let me go and populate the fields here that we supposed to load, right? Again, what all different fields that we have to load? So we have to pass that fields here. So let me pass that fields again. To generally we pass the array here, so let me go and define the const, and I'm giving the const name here as fields to load. Again, you can use any name to the constant variable. I'm just defining one constant variable of array where I will put all the different fields that I have to load. So let me put here the parent. After that I want to get the name. After that I want to get the salary, SLA expiration date. After that I have to get the SLA type. After that I have to get the account number of location, and I have to get the account description. I have to get the account description as well. So these are the different fields that I have to get, right? Let me pass these fields here, because these are the different fields that we have to get. And also I am passing here the record ID as well. Let me convert this to colon, and here I have to also pass the record ID. So this dot record ID. Now whatever the response that we are getting, I am handling the response from the wire decorator in the form of function. So let me go and put here the wired get record function. Again, this function will again take an object in which we are destructuring into the two, that is data comma error. That is data comma error. Right? Now moving towards the next part. So we got here the data comma error, and whatever the data that we are getting, we have to populate that data in all the fields that we do have, right? Selected parent, selected number of locations. So let's go and do it. So let's do this one after the other. Again, to populate these different fields, whenever we are getting the values from the get record, we have learned one more method. One way is you can definitely navigate to the fields one after the other. Another way that we can do is we can use the method called get field value, right? Again, we have taken the separate example how to use the method that is the get field value. So what we have to do here is we have to pass the data and after that, from that data, which field value we want to retrieve. Let's say I want to retrieve the account parent first. So this is how I am passing the data. Again, get field values, again the standard method. Make sure that you are importing all these different methods, get field value, get record from the UI record API. As I'm using the IntelliSense, it is automatically imported for me. Like this, we go and populate all these different fields one after the other. So next I have to populate the selected number of locations. Again, the get field value, data, comma, account, number of location. Let me repeat this. Next, I have to populate the account name. Next I have to populate the expiration date. Next I have to populate the description, and also I have to populate the SLA type, right? Just change the source fields now. So account name, so for the account name we do have the field here as account underscore name. For the expiration date we do have the field as account SLA expiration date. For the description, again we do have a field as account description, and similarly for the SLA type we do have the field as account SLA type. This is how you can go and populate all these different fields based on the data that you are getting. But generally before we go and populate all those fields, it's always a best practice to check whether we are getting the data. In case we are getting the successful data, then and then only populating all these fields will make sense. Otherwise, in case we are getting any error, then we should go and log that error for now. So here I go and put the console.log, and here I am putting the error message during retrieval. Error message during the retrieval. Right? Let's go and put that error message for now. Cool. So what we have done here, we have populated that error message as well. Now the next thing that we have to do here is whatever the value that we are populating, we have to display that value on the UI. So for that we have to navigate to the HTML file, because HTML file will only take care of the UI part. So what we have to do here is, in the HTML file we have to go and use the value attribute, because whatever the value that we are getting from the backend, we have to display that value. So I'm adding one more attribute here, that is the value attribute, and in this value attribute we will display all the values. So here I am putting the selected parent account. After that I am putting here the value as selected account name. The third one that I am putting here is the value is equal to SLA expiration date. For the SLA type, let me go and add the value again. So what is the value for the SLA type? Selected SLA type. So let me add that value here. And in the last slider, we are already populating the default value for the slider, right? So we don't have to do anything. And last goes for the description. For the description, let's go and populate the value of the selected description as well. Right? So whatever the values that we have received, we are populating that values here. Okay, let's go and check this part. After that we'll see how we can write down the update record method and how we can dynamically populate this particular title as well. Let's go and do this quick check whether all the values are coming up as expected or not whenever we are putting the component on the edit page. So again, let me go and refresh this page here. We are getting an error message, cannot read properties of undefined reading this. I believe we are doing some typo here. Correct. Here, as we know, in the record ID, we should always populate this as a reactive variable, because whenever the record ID is available, then and then only this will make sense. So here I am using the record ID as the reactive variable. Right. After that, I believe we are not using the record ID anywhere in our component apart from this. Yeah, this looks good. Let me go and deploy this. Let me refresh this one more time. Meanwhile, let me go and check if we do have any question. Saida Reddy have one question: how to implement the clone method? Clone means basically you want to create the duplicate object, right? That's what you are asking, Saida, if I'm not sure, right? Like here we do have this clone option. You want to implement the similar something like that, I believe so. Like here we don't have, but generally for most of the objects we do have one custom button to clone, right? You want to implement something similar. What you have to do here is you have to just copy the get the record from the existing one, populate all these new values and create another record. That's it. It's as simple as this. if you have to create the clone with the LWC component. Prabin Das have another question: how to fetch the object API name and the record ID dynamically on the app page or the home page or the utility bar? Again, for the utility bar, it depends where you have the utility bar. Either you have the utility bar on the app page or the home page, or you have the utility bar on the record page. On the record page, if you have to get that value, again it's one and the same thing. Coming towards the another part, how to get the object API name and record ID on the app page or home page. So again, the way Lightning is designed, we cannot put any record specific component on the app page or the home page, right? So record ID is not available on your app pages or home pages. You cannot use this record ID attribute on your app page or home page. There is no way to do it, because record ID is only designed to work for the record pages. Let me go and refresh it one more time to check whether the functionality is working as expected or not. Okay, still the values are not coming up. So that means it is breaking somewhere. Let me go and, are we not using the API? Why are we are doing it? Let me go to the inspect and check where it is breaking in the console log. It looks good to me. It is not breaking anywhere. Uh, are we not passing it correctly? Get record, we are using it. We are passing the record ID. We are passing the fields to load. Again, this is an array that we are passing. This also looks good. Uh, let's try to print this whether we are getting the existing values or not first. Getting existing values, putting a data. We are using the value attribute to display that value. Actually, value should come up. Let me go and deploy this one more time. Let me refresh this. So we are putting this getting existing values. Let's see if this is coming up. No. Okay, that means our code is breaking somewhere. Let me try to read this code one more time. So we do have the record ID. We have imported the record ID from the help of @API decorator, right? And if I am not wrong, the syntax is correct for the record ID. Uh, get record is the correct method. I am passing the fields to load as a constant, and here I am putting all these different values for which I have to fetch the values. So that also looks good to me. Whatever the data that we are getting, we are printing that data. Mm, what can be the issue? Anyone? Can you guys like to highlight? Or it's better if I go and debug it quickly? Ideally, the value should come up. Let me quickly go and debug it so that we'll understand where it is actually failing. Let me put the control P, and the component name is account details. We do have the method called get field value. Let me refresh this. It is coming as undefined, that's fine. Okay, why it is not getting called again? As soon as the record ID is available, it should be getting called one more time. Mm, Get record, Lightning UI record API. Let me quickly validate the syntax of the get record. So here I go to the component library. Let me check the syntax if I am doing something wrong on the get record. Record ID is the one and the fields is the second parameter that are supposed to pass. Fields is the second parameter. This also looks good. The fields to load. Hmm. Let me refresh this one more time. Are we getting the record ID in our component correctly or not? You have to put this dot fields to load. No, it's a constant, so we don't have to put this dot here. That's fine. What can be the issue? Sorry, let me go to the component one more time. Do we have the value of record ID? Record ID is undefined. Why it is undefined? This time we are getting the data. We have not changed anything though. We do have the data available. Okay, let me press F10. So it's going inside. It is populating all these values as expected. It might be because of the cache we are not getting the data. I was not sure. Now this time the data is coming up. Again, I have not done any changes in the code. It is exactly same. Might be because of the cache previously it was not coming up. Now you guys can see whatever the existing data that is available on our component, everything is coming up here. Right? Now the next thing that we have to do here is, as I said, here we have to dynamically populate this text here. In case we are using this component on the record page, then this value should be edit account. In case we are using it on the app page, so we have to populate that as the create account. So whenever we have to populate something dynamically, the best way to do that is the getter method. So let me put here is the form title, and for that I will go and define one getter method, because based on the record ID we will decide what we have to populate here. So let me go and put here the get form title. So what we will do here is we will check here if this dot record ID, then we should return the form title as edit account, else we will return the form title as create account. In case the record ID is available, then and then only we should return the title as edit account. Otherwise, we will return the value as create account. As simple as this. Right? Now, the next thing that we have to do in our component here is, now this time, whenever the user is clicking on the save button, we don't have to create the new record, but we have to go and update the existing record. For example, let's say here the user goes and change the parent account, right? Again, I don't have to go and create the new record here. Here I have to go and update the existing record. So we already created this method yesterday where we are performing the validations and we are populating all these different fields, right? Now the only thing that we will change here is the creation of the record. Like here we are doing the creation of the record in case the user is in case the record ID is not available. So again, I am using the same logic that we have used in the form. Again, I am checking that in case the record ID is available, then I will perform the update operation. In case the record ID is not available, then I will perform the old operation that I was doing, that is nothing but the creation of record. So let me go and copy this code from here, and I am moving that code in the else block. Right? Now, whenever the record ID is available, what we have to do here is we have to perform the update operation. Again, to perform the update operation, as I said, the one key thing that we have to populate is the ID of the record. So first, let me go and import the ID field here. Like we have imported all these different fields. Also, I am importing the account ID and naming the schema name as the ID. Right? Now we have to make sure that we are populating this ID whenever we have to perform the update operation. So what I will do here is I will populate one more field in the input fields, and that field name is the account ID, and the value for this field is the record ID. Value for this field is the record ID. Now coming towards the update part, again whenever we have to perform the update operation, we have to again go and create the record input. So that same thing I am doing up here. So let record input is equal to, now again this record input have only one property, that is nothing but the fields property. So here I go and populate the fields property, and in this fields property again I am passing this input fields. Now the next thing that we have to do here is, as soon as we have created this account, as soon as we have populated the account ID and we have created this record input, now the next we have to go and perform the update operation on the record. Again, to perform the update operations on the record, I will go and use the update record method. So here I go and use the update record method. Again, I am using the IntelliSense. In case you guys are not using the IntelliSense, make sure that you are importing this update record method. And in this update record method, I am passing the record input. You can see that I am just following the syntax. I have first created the record input. After that, I am calling this update record method and passing the record input. Again, this will also return me the promise. So again, promise result, right? In case of successful, the then part will execute, and in case of error, the catch block will execute. So here I go and put the error. Right? Now let's go and log this message first here, console.log, and here I am putting the message as record updated successfully. And in case of error, I am putting the error message as, and here let me go and also print the result for the reference, and here also go and put the error message record updation failed, and here I am populating that error message, record updation failed, and printing that error message. Now another thing that I want to do here is, as soon as the record is updated, I want to show the toast event like we do have here, right? For example, if I am updating the record from here, we generally get the toast message. For example, let me go and save this rating to hot and clicking on save. You can see that we do get this kind of a message. So same thing I also want to do in my component as well. So to do that, again I am navigating back to the component library, and here I am using the platform show toast event. Again, very simple. We first have to go and import this show toast event in our component. So let me again go up. You can see that we started with a very small component, and how soon the component gets a big and the complex one. But again, if you are understanding the steps that we are following, you will observe that most of the things that we are doing is simply copy and pasting from the component library. And that's how actually we build the component whenever we have to build the components for the business. We should only know how to use the small components and build the one large component, right? So this is the show toast method that we have to use. And in this show toast method, I have to populate putting the title here as success, and let me put the message here as record updated successfully. Here I am putting the message as record updated successfully. Now, what I will do, as soon in case my update operation is successful, right? Then here I am calling that method, that is this dot show toast method. This dot show toast method. Let's go and deploy this and validate whether the functionality is working as expected or not. So here I go and click on deploy. Let me go and refresh the page. You can see that we are getting the form title dynamically, right? For example, if I go to the LWC overview page, you can see that here we are getting the, on the same form, we are getting the text as created account and the fields are not populating. However, if I go to the accounts page, you will see that the same component, it is showing the edit account and the fields are also populating as expected. This is how you should go and create a more dynamic components with the help of LWC. Now let's say here I want to change the parent account to age communication and clicking on save. You can see that we are getting the message as record updated successfully. Again, in case you guys want to change this background, there is one more attribute that is available here, that is the variant attribute, and in this variant attribute you can pass the value as success so that you will get that green background in the success message. Now let me put here the variant as, sorry, this is how we can perform the update operation with the help of LWC method. Now moving towards the next one, that is the delete record. Right? Again, what we have to do in case of we have to perform the delete operation, we have to pass the record ID. It is mandatory that you should go and pass the record ID. So one key thing, folks, that I like to highlight here is whenever you have to perform the update operation or the delete operation with the help of wire adapters, you have to make sure that you do have the record ID. Unless and until you don't have the record ID, you cannot perform those operations with the help of wire adapter. If you do have the record ID, then and then only it is possible to perform the CRUD operations with the help of wire adapter. So again, to perform this delete operation, I am putting one more button here on my form. Like next to the save button, I am putting one more button here, and I want to call this button as the delete button. And let me change this variant of this button to destructive. What is meant by destructive? For example, again, if you go here and check for the button, generally in the systems we do have the button for the deletion in the red color. Right? Generally we do have the button in the red color. So in case you want the button to in the red color, then you have to use this variant as the destructive variant. Or it's better if I go and copy the exact same code from here and put it here. More easy will be for me. Right? So destructive label, let's say I want to put the label here as delete account. Title, I want to put the same as delete. Right? And on click, I want to execute the handler. So let me call this handler as the delete handler. And this is the method that I have to invoke for the deletion. But again, I want this button to be available again only on the edit page, because on the creation page there is nothing to delete, right? So this button ideally should only be available only for the deletion page. Again, whenever we have to make the decision dynamically, as I said, we always go for the getter method. So again, here I'm checking that is delete available. Here I am checking that is delete available. In case the record ID is there, then we'll say that the delete button should be available. In case the record ID is not there, then we can say that the delete button, it should not be available. Right? This is how we can check. Now we'll call this getter method here, and here I am using the template LWC if is delete available. In case the value is true, then and then only this button will be available, otherwise this button will not be available. So this is how we can make sure that the button is only available whenever so that we can make sure that the button is only available whenever the record ID is present. Right? Now the next thing that we can do here is we will call this delete record method as soon as user clicked on this button. So let me again call the delete record. Again, I am using the IntelliSense. In case you guys are not using the IntelliSense, make sure that the delete record method is imported in your component. Again, whenever we have to perform the delete record, as I said, only thing that we have to pass is the record ID. Only thing that we have to pass here is the record ID. And here, what I am doing next is, in case the delete operation is successful, again, what we will get? We will get the we will get the promise in return. Again, I do have the result. But again, the good part about the delete, or the key part about the delete here, is your delete method return type is void. Your delete method return type is void. So there will be no result here. So you have to make sure that whenever you are using the delete method, the return type is always void. And here I am just logging the console.log as the record deleted successfully. What I want to do here is I want to log the message as record deleted successfully. And similarly, what I want to do here is in case of failure, I want to use the catch block, and here I want to show the message of error, why the deletion is not possible. There can be n number of reasons because of which the deletions are failing. So what we can do here is we can display that reason here. Again, you guys are comfortable now how to use the platform show toast event. That's why I'm not going for it. So record deletion failed, and here I am just putting the error message. Right? Let's go and validate this part again, whether the deletion of the record goes successfully or not. So here I go and let me deploy this. Let me go here, refresh the page. You can see that this button is coming up here as the delete account button. However, if I go to the first page where I put the component, here you can see there is no delete button because here there is nothing to delete. However, here we do have the option to delete the record. However, here we do have the option to delete the record. Right? Now, what if the user go and perform this, click on this button, you will see that the record is deleted. You will see that the record is deleted. The error message that we are getting here, that now there is no record to display. Now there is no record to display. For example, the way system behave here is, if you try to go and delete any existing record here with the help of standard functionality of the Salesforce, they will navigate you to the list view. What they will do? They will navigate you back to the list view. So let's try to implement the similar functionality in our code. Whenever we perform the delete operation, let's navigate back to the list view again. So again, we have to perform the navigation. Again, what we have to do to perform the navigation, we have to go and create the page reference here first. So let me go and create the page reference. So we have to navigate to the object page type, because we have to navigate to the list view, and the list view is available in the object page type. So this is the list view that we have to go and create. So let me copy this code from here, because this is the sample code to navigate to the list view. That's why I'm copying this reference code from here. And Here I go and create the page reference. Remaining things we have already taken care. We have already imported the navigation mixin. We have already extended the navigation mixin in the previous steps. So we don't have to do it again. Now only thing that we have to do here is we have to go and create the page reference. So this is my page reference. We have to navigate to the object page. Again the object API name here will be account object dot object API name. We have to navigate to the list view and we have to go to the recent record. Again, you can also set the specific list view as well. Now my page reference is ready. Now we have to just call the navigate method like we have done here. I'm just taking the sample code from here and putting it here one more time. This is how we can perform the navigation with our component by calling this navigate method and passing the page reference. So let me go and deploy this. Sorry. Let me go and deploy this. Let me go and refresh the page. So I do have this button available. Let me go and perform the refresh one time, and after that we will see what details are coming up there. Okay, so here I go and perform the delete account. Okay, still the navigation is not working. Uh, might be I have to perform the hard refresh. Let me go and do that. Let me click on the delete account. Okay, where the navigation is not working, we have to go and check whether the navigation logic is available or not, or it is still referring the old code. So again I am opening the account details. Delete. What is the method name? Delete handler. We do have the navigation logic. Let me put the page reference here. Click on delete account. Seems like something is breaking. uh, Let me refresh, or let me go back to the another account, because this account have the related cases and generally system does not allow to delete those type of account. So let me go here, perform the delete operation. Oh, it is not even coming up in the debug mode. What can be the issue? I believe the issue is with the cache only, because the record is getting deleted successfully and we are performing the navigation. Only thing that you have to check here is why the navigation is not working. So let me quickly go and create one test account. Clicking on save. Let me open the inspect, navigating to the sources, opening the source of account details. Let me look for the method of a delete handler, putting a breakpoint, clicking on this button. I got the control here. Let me put the breakpoint here. Okay, the control came up here. Navigate method is getting called. There is the issue. Let me go and check here. Object API name we are populating. Action name is the list. Filter name is the recent only. I believe recent is the valid name. There can be two possibilities. Either we are not passing the API name correctly. Let me go and check it up here. Hmm. Let me try to navigate to the specific list view. Let me try to navigate to the my accounts. I will take the API name of the list view. My accounts. And here I go and put the my accounts. Let me go and deploy this. Let me refresh it. Let me create a new account with the name of test account. Clicking on save and try to delete the account. What is the issue? I'm not getting the error. Why it is not navigating? Error message during retrieval. That's fine. But record is deleted successfully. Are we not using the method correctly? We are, right? Navigation mixin dot navigate. We are passing the page reference as well. Let me change the page reference. Not sure about the page reference. Might be an issue. Ideally it should populate, but let me go and try this out. I want to populate to the account home page or navigate to the account home page. Let me go and deploy this. Go back to the accounts. Clicking on new again, making the test account. Clicking on save. Clicking on delete. No, there is some issue in the navigation. I might have to look into it separately. Not sure why the navigation is not working. Ideally it should, because I have done that in the past. There might be something that I am missing. I will check this out offline and let you know, folks. Okay. Okay, folks, that's all I do have for today. In the next session, we will see how we can add the custom validations in this component. Custom validations means, for example, in our session, like in our previous session, we have added the few validations like this field cannot be blank, or in case the user is putting the field blank, then we are throwing this kind of an error messages, right? But what say, let's say business do have a requirement that in case the SLA is defined, then the description is mandatory. right? In case the user is defining the number of locations greater than 5, user have to go and define the SLA expiration date. Whenever we have to do the validations based on the user input, which cannot be achieved with the help of out of the box validations approach that Salesforce do provide. In such scenarios, we do write our own custom validations in LWC. So before we go to the triggers or go to the validation rule, in LWC also we can go and write down the custom validation rule. So in the next session, we will explore how we can use the custom validation rules. Next thing that we will explore in the session is about this third file that we have defined here, that is the configuration file. What all different attributes that we can define in the configuration file. For example, let's say you have created the component and that component is only supported on the desktop, not on the mobile or not on the tablet. How you can restrict it? For example, let's say you have created the component and that component supposed to be used only on the account record page, not on the contact page, not on the app page. Again, how you can restrict your component? For example, you want to take the inputs from the user whenever they are configuring the component. How we can do that? So there are different functionalities that we can achieve with the help of this configuration file, that also we will explore in our next section. So make sure that you guys are tuned to the channel and attend the next session as well, because again next session is going to be more important, both with respect to the validation and with respect to the configuration file as well. I hope you found the today's session helpful and got some learning from the today's session. Let me check if we do have any questions before we wrap up. Uh, Again, thank you Sachin for the nice words. Folks, if you do like the session, make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe the channel as well. Thank you. Have a good time.